Hi everybody, Miles here, the teaching professional at Southwick Park Golf Club. This week's subject is distance and distance with the driver. Probably a subject that I don't really always feel like I want to cover because I want to make you more efficient and then the distance will come. But it's such a common asked thing, how do I hit it further? Why am I a short hitter? So I can definitely give you some answers and things to look for and look at. So let's just start off with, let's just talk at the moment about distance from the tee and drivers. So just one, straight onto your equipment. Is your grip fresh or is it worn? If it's really worn, you'll probably end up gripping tighter. That tightness will result in a lack of club head speed. So tiny thing, fresh grip. The engine room of any golf club is the shaft, and have you got that right? Is it the right weight and the right flex? Some people are just playing with too heavy a shaft and that will cause you to lose distance. Finally, well, two things on the head. Is it the right loft? If you're playing with too low a loft, you might always have this sort of horrible skiddy fade and never get the real distance you need. Too high loft, maybe it balloons up into the air. So that comes into fittings again. And probably lastly, is it good enough quality? I mean, this ping that I've got is a titanium head with a forged face, so obviously it's very lively from you know, it's very fast off the face. So if you've got a cheaper, not so good club, then you won't get that sort of distance. So that's your sort of club. A little bit on shaft length, but more unlikely to be that. For example, Tiger Woods famously has his drivers shortened and he's always hit it plenty far enough. So that's a control thing, and that goes back to control over distance and what's your tipping point. So onto your swing then and your physical capabilities. So are you made to be a long hitter? Are you unfit, maybe a bit portly? All those other things that make you not being a long hitter. So then that you have to look at yourself a little bit. Can I improve myself? Can I take a bit of weight off? Can I get a bit fitter? That elasticity, you know, can I do Pilates or yoga? That will give me some distance. Yeah, so that's that. I mean, it's hard to look at yourself and say, I'm not built to be a big hitter, but you know, if you've got a 40-inch waist, you're probably not. So anyway, that goes on to just general health. So just onto your swing then, and some of the things that I can change and can help you with. So let's look at a couple of things that would be traits of a big hitter, or someone with really good distance. Let's start off with width of swing. Are you making a big, wide, coiled spring and your hands want to be clear of your shoulder, bit of space here? If you've got a narrow swing with an early wrist hinge, you probably are never going to be a big hitter. You can only really sort of have a flicky cast from there. So this goes along with something in your backswing, which is a big shoulder turn. So this is a trait of all big hitters. And I would encourage you to get your club across your shoulder. Can you turn that grip down at least towards the ball and maybe even beyond to about your right foot? The really big hitters have this huge shoulder turn, show your back to the target. It's all about unwinding back through the ball. So if you've got width and a big shoulder, then that's going to really help. This last bit about the bottom half of your body is a bit of an interesting one really, because some of these really big hitters and the long drive boys do get their feet moving quite a bit. Scheffler as well, you know, he's one of those people. But I'm always going to go with, you need to add the consistency in with the distance. So I'm going to use the ground, I'm going to screw myself into the ground to help me explode back out the other way again. So there's some things on your backswing. Nice light grip as well. Don't grip too tight. If you push down with your either thumb, that'll tighten your forearms. You'll probably lose a few yards just by that. And we're just talking about increasing club head speed and increasing ball speed. If we get those two things going, you're hitting it further. Not necessarily straighter, but definitely further. So a big coil, shoulder turn and width. So that's your backswing done. Now, the magic obviously always happens on the way back down, and this is where you can generate power and then lose it again. So you could make that great big coiled, springy swing that's going to rip it down the fairway and then lose it by things like casting, coming over the top, leaning back, all those other things. So it goes into good technique now. So think about the weight's on this right side. It's going to have to start to transition across to your left, and then as quick as the big hitters clear very quickly, which means this right hip's coming back, leaving space for the club to whoosh through. So here's a good tip for you, and this goes for every shot, right? I think about all the speed in my swing being past the ball. You will then start to put it on just where you need it, which is about here, but that's when it's going to start to accelerate through the ball. And don't hit at the ball, hit through it. So back into sort of good pure teaching and swing finish. Chest on the target, right heel back towards the away from you, because that'll help that you've cleared through it. And yeah, that's sort of it really. I mean, it's a tricky subject really, getting more distance. Some people need it, but what you'll find is, what I find is, say someone's got a bit of a, one of the things you really need to do is make sure you've smack it up the backside, for want of a better word. If you don't and come across it, then you'll lose a massive amount of distance, but that's back into better teaching giving you better distance. So that's that really. I think I'll just give one a rip now, see if I can get it on the third green maybe. Anyway, last final thing, tee it high, let it fly. It's probably more like on the 10th green, but nice strike. See you all next week.